Hi, I'm Robbie Hanna Anderman, and welcome back to the Healing Trees Forest School episode, and this one's about Trembling Aspen. You can see how the leaves, well, even without my holding on to them there, right here, they're trembling in the wind. And one of the reasons that they're trembling is because they're able, it's a way of shedding air, shedding wind that comes by. And all trees have a way of doing this so that they're not blown over and they actually let the wind go by and keep their integrity. It's a little hard to see here, but you can see that the leaf is going this way, but it turns out the stem, instead of being round, is actually flat. There, you might be able to see that. And it is going the opposite, perpendicular direction. So in other words, the leaf turns this way and the stem turns back that way with the wind. And it's quite an efficient method, since basically the poplar is a brittle tree. The wood is soft, and at the same time it's quite the vibrant tree. It can spread by roots or by sexual reproduction. And I love the intro that I have in the Healing Trees. Popularly speaking, poplars, by virtue of their natural range into every province and territory of Canada, ought to be the Canadian national tree, with the poplar leaf waving in the wind on a green or yellow gold Canadian flag, as the natural poplar leaves flutter in every wind. So what's happening now is the buds on the tree, on this little young tree, have opened up, or actually it started to open up. You can see more here how it's still curled in, and there's a bud here that hasn't opened up, a leaf. And then they're opening to this. You can see that one's still opening, and the one on the end here is still opening. And they're relatively small. And the other part to notice is their coloring. The coloring here is almost, I don't know, brown, purple, bronze. Bronze may be the better description, and which it will then change to green. There's several green ones, older ones that have opened up more than this one, and as it goes more mature in the next month, they'll start to become, instead of really soft and really flexible, they'll become brittle. And what this is to inhibit or slow down any wildlife that want to chew on their leaves. Wildlife, which doesn't quite include me, but maybe, because I really enjoy eating poplar leaves, trembling aspen. Big tooth poplar is nice too, but the trembling aspen to me is my favorite. It has a bitter quality, sort of like stomach bitters of old, and helps the liver thereby and helps digestion. And it's just a wonderful energy to be out snacking as I'm working or walking in the fields. And it's incredibly tender and really soft leaves and such beauty at the same time. So I thought I'd want to share this while it's still in the stage where, it can come by, and may I please have a couple leaves to help my body heal and be stronger and healthier than it was 5 minutes ago. So let's see if we can, actually we'll wander over and show you what one that's a bit more mature is like as it opens up. Again, this is mid-May, so we're not going to see any that are mature to the level of becoming brittle. But, and there the stems are even more pronounced as being on the perpendicular right angle to the plane of the leaves. And there's much in the Healing Trees book about all the medicinal qualities that people have been seeking from this tree over the years. I mean, another one actually is when it gets a bit older, when you rub the bark like this, the smooth bark, you can see it's sort of a gray-green bark. Oh, there it is. You see the white powder on my fingers? That's a yeast. And that yeast you can gather, especially on a bigger tree, and get it into, or take your hands and start kneading flour and as dough, and it puts that yeast into the flour, and it becomes a yeast that actually will raise bread or will help create a beer or ale. And it's amazing what comes on trees. Quite a wonderful gift to humans. And they're so prolific, and so up north they're much more appreciated because here we have so much hardwood. It's easier to get a hot fire from, but these give a hot fire. They just don't last for a long time. Like, you'd have to feed the fire more often. So it's certainly easier to carry an armload in of dry poplar than it is an armload of oak, dry oak or maple or other trees. And I think one of the largest, they spread by roots, and so one of the more amazing qualities is that this spreading by roots includes that I think one of the largest organisms in the world is, I think in Colorado or somewhere out in that neighborhood to Nevada, where it's acres and acres and acres of one tree that's spread by roots, so all the trees have the same DNA. And it's absolutely the favorite food of the Canadian beaver and the American beaver. And I don't know how come they love it so much. Maybe it's the salicin. It helps deal with all the pain of dragging all these branches around. But again, it has salicin in it like willow does, which the body turns into salicylic acid, and which the drug companies turn into or create acetylsalicylic acid, which is our aspirin and other similar aids. But the challenges that people have with aspirin are not found in people when they've actually ingested poplar, especially the leaves, which are just put in a cup and boiling water poured over them. Let's go see if we can find another more green, more mature tree. So we've moved over here to a more mature tree. You can see the stem is a bit wider, and there's another one with even wider, and there's one over there that's even wider. And these are more mature, and perhaps because they're catching more sun, they're definitely more open. And you can see how the leaves have a little cast of bronze, but very little. So this is more what they're growing toward. And again, these are like half to a third of the size of the mature leaf, which will become brittle. But you can see how these are so flexible, just soft and easy to flow, and still have, you can see how they just flutter in the wind. That's why they're called trembling aspen. When there's a very slight wind and no other tree has leaves fluttering, you'll find the aspens up there fluttering in the wind. And again, it's possible to pick a leaf and, thank you, and chew on it, or gather some and make tea. It's bitter, but it's not overly bitter. As the season progresses, it becomes more bitter, which is part of its defense from getting overeaten by all sorts of wildlife, from birds to mammals. And quite a beautiful tree. It's just dancing in the wind. And great medicine, and I guess I did already show you about how they do have there's a white powder again on my hand for yeast, for breads and ferments of different sorts. Wonderful tree. Here's an example of a young tree, a very young tree. You can see it's a seedling. It's maybe 2 years old, and it's been nibbled on by the deer, because again, deer love poplars just like the beavers do. And here you can see a leaf just starting to open up, and it'll open up. Now you can see, again, small, curling, and here now the leaves themselves are starting to open. And there you can see very small and small, but here again larger. And in this case here, again, this is trembling aspen. The leaves and buds are just starting to open in the light of spring. So here we've moved over to a tree which you can see by the stem is a bit fatter, a bit older, and it's already gone up to, it's lost the bronze color of the leaves, but the leaves are still quite tender, quite edible. Thank you. And it's, this is sort of an indicator of what they're going to do, and the leaves are going to grow to more than twice this size, to maybe 3 times the size of these. But you can see again, what I wanted to show you is how the color is changing. And I'm sure many people in places further south than us are already experiencing the larger leaves. What really I like to note is in the spring, about now, we're here again, we're in mid-May, the poplars are one of the first trees to open up and show their colors, show their leaves. And they, let's see, there's maybe one over that way. You can see the bright yellow, yellowish green. That would be a trembling aspen. And it's sort of, to me, is like one of the biggest signs of, hey, spring's here, like it or not, whether you're ready or not, this is spring. And then it gets to a darker color green like over there, those tall standing ones. And again, it's there's a certain place that I go on the way to town. I'm going down the hill so that I'm getting warmer than up here in the hills, and those trees are opening up to their pale yellow, yellowish green and bronze before the ones here, and it just brightens me up. I really enjoy and love poplar trees. So here we are with poplar and the latest episode of the Healing Trees Forest School. And thank you for coming by and seeing what's new in the forest these days. And signing off for now, yours truly, Robbie.